Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Betrayal at Krondor. In our last episode, we successfully navigated the sewers under the city of Krondor and arrived at Prince Arutha's castle. Unfortunately, Arutha was not quite willing to believe Gorath's tale of an upcoming invasion by the Mordha leader Delacan, and so Gorath proposed a compromise. He believes that he can find proof of this invasion in the town of Romney, and so Arutha has allowed Gorath to leave for Romney, accompanied by Squire James. Now we're back in the sewers. Let's exit the sewers real quick. I don't know if you can see the ladder in front of me because of how dark it is, but we're going to go back into the castle for just a moment here. Let's go into this room over here. This is Squire Locklear's room. Now, we unfortunately, in our last episode, we had three party members, Gorath, Locklear, and Owen. Well, Locklear and Owen are no longer with us. So all of Locklear's goods are, well, sitting here. So let's do our best to take as much of it with us as we can. We can always use food. Armors, hammers are useful for Gorath. I'm sorry, I was looking at Gorath's inventory. What did I just do? Sorry about that. Alright, so let's give this to Gorath. This to James. Gorath's actually full, his inventory, so we're going to have to give everything here to James. James is currently armed with 100% broadsword. Let's give him this blessed sword as well. That could be useful. Lockpicks are always useful, as is rope. We'll grab that. And now it looks like we're full. These are status items. This helps us boost our crossbow strength, our crossbow durability, and it looks like we really haven't used that yet, so I'm not too worried about that. This is, again, these are just statuses for swords and armor. This increases accuracy of, defense and combat. I hate to leave any of this behind, but I think we're okay. So let's head out of here and let's go back into the sewer. So when we try to leave, they could be seen. James halted the party to consider. Let's not give Delacan any more help than he needs. If we leave through the palace's main gates, we might as well have trumpeters going before us and announcing the fact to everyone within the Kingdom of the Isles. The sewers are probably our best option. So, we're back into the sewers again. Didn't we just leave this party? We'll go ahead and have Squire James be our torchbearer, and we'll make our way back out of the sewers. So we're going to want to head southwards, and we should be able to follow a fairly straightforward path now that we know the way. Let's check our map really quickly and zoom out a bit. Looks like a fairly direct route if we turn right here and then follow this down and around. Of course, we're going to keep our eyes open for any potential enemies. Who knows what enemies might have taken up residence while we were busy fooling around in the castle over the last day or so. Alright, so far so good. So far I don't see anyone. Okay, is there anyone in this room? I don't see anybody. Let's check our map. Okay, if we head due south, we should have a straight shot to the exit. A shadow approached. From a murky corner of the room, the figure advanced towards them. Gorath's pulse quickened for a moment, but he relaxed slightly as he saw they were not about to be attacked. It's Owen! It took you too long enough. I was beginning to think the mockers had you bagged up again, Senor James. Is everything all right? Squire, suppose I ignore the fact that this trip is a state secret, to which you are not supposed to be privy, and that we are hurrying out of the sewers instead of leaving by the main gate at the proper time. How did you find out we were coming? Well, after Senor Locklear dumped me off after we got here and told me I could go home, I got bored and decided to check out Krondor. Unfortunately, there's nothing much interesting going on here, so I decided I'd come back to the palace. I tried to pay Gorath an unexpected visit last night, but I discovered the guards had been doubled with orders that no one could see him. I might have fallen for it if I hadn't heard someone snoring in his cell. Gorath doesn't snore, I take it. Not a sound. When I realized that something was in the air, I went to find Locklear and discovered that he was mysteriously absent, despite a tray of food delivered to his door just moments after I slept away. Finally, I came down here and talked to Lim, who told me you'd been down here earlier this morning. At that point, I realized Rutha meant to slip Gorath out of Krondor for some reason. Are you sure you're not a thief by profession? You think unnervingly like a mocker I used to know. So are we ready? We should probably get moving. Where are we going anyway? You cannot accompany us, Owen. Our mission is much too important. Quiet, mortal. I'll handle this. But I could jeopardize your mission. Who knows who might take me captive between here and Tyburn? If I go back to Krondor now, I might accidentally talk to someone. Besides, I'm from the eastern part of the kingdom. I know the area, and I might be able to help. For better or for worse, you seem determined to hitch your fate to catastrophe. But if you want to get yourself killed at a tender young age, who am I to naysay it? I used to pull the same stunts when Arutha wished to pull out of Krondor. Alright then, Squire, you can come along, but these are the ground rules. 1. I am in charge, and you do whatever I say without question. 2. Under no circumstances do you reveal anything about Gorath or our mission to anyone. If someone asks, we will continue what Senor Locklear suggested. Gorath is an elf. Thirdly, and lastly, you don't wander off on your own. I don't care if you're watering the trees, you ask me first. Is all that clear? Absolutely, whatever you say. Stop smiling, you're going to earn your keep. I know I'm going to regret this, but let's get moving. We have a long way to go and no time to get there. Alright, well, the gang's all back together. Well, minus Locklear, but now we have Squire James. Let's take a look at Owen's inventory. He's also pretty full, so I don't feel like it's worth heading back to the castle to pick up whatever other items are there. Let's just head the rest of the way out. So now we have a spellcaster, so that's gonna certainly be very useful. And there's our exit. There's our way back out. Alright, so before we head all the way out of town, let's go to the shops and let's go ahead and sell off all the extra items that we've gotten here. There's no reason to be carrying so much stuff. James's equipment all starts off at 100%, so that's quite wonderful. Let's take a look at Owen. Owen's only got a 90% armor. Let's sell that one. And we'll give the 95 to him. Great. Let's sell this 82%. Give Gorath a slightly better sword. Very good. Okay, so I'm going to sell some of these extra crossbow bolts. We don't need quite so many. We'll keep the whetstones and armorer's hammers, of course, because that's Gorath's specialty. Everybody's got at least 14 rations. Let's give one more to Owen. James has got quite a bit of food, and that's good. That's fine. We don't need this extra crossbow. We can get rid of that. And I'm debating whether or not to hang on to this sword here. Let's take a look here. So this sword has a base damage of... we're normally going to be doing thrusting. I don't particularly like the swing. It's so much less accurate. 8 plus our strength. Whereas this sword is 0 plus strength, but it has really good accuracy, and a 10% increased blessing. It's a hard choice, you know? Considering James's accuracy is already pretty low, I think I'm going to start him off with the Blessed Weapon. Let's see how he does with that. We'll keep this broadsword for later, but for now I'm going to have him use that. And other than that, I think we're ready. Let's make sure that this armor is repaired. It is. Good. And I think everyone's ready to go. Oh, sorry, we have a few extra swords to sell here. We'll sell all of this extra trinkets and such. Alright, we'll keep the rest of this. That's all great. I think we're ready for our adventure now. Eventually, we'll have enough gold that we can buy some of this some of these superior pieces of armor. But all right, let's be on our way. So let's take a look at our map here. Now we want to head for the town of Romney. That's where we were told to go. We're down here in Krondor. There's Tenors, Egli, Sethanon, Lighton, Silden, Sloop. Romney's up here. So we have a couple different ways we can go. We could follow this road along here, or we could head north. Let's try the northern road to begin with. Let's see what happens. Let's head up past Tenors, then we'll head east past Sethanon, and we'll follow that road. We'll see how it goes. Let's get back to the main screen here. Once again, we're always going to want to keep our eyes out for enemies because there are almost certainly more assassins waiting for us. In fact, there were some enemies there that I didn't have a chance to click on, and we're in combat. Looks like 3 Buccaneers. Alright, to begin with, let's have Owen. Let's review what spells he has. Flamecast is a good offensive spell, but it does do area damage. Despair Thy Eyes will blind enemies. It's very minimal cost to it, so it's very useful. Invitation pulls enemies forward if we need to bring them up to us. And then we've got some really good defensive spells. Hocho's Haven is great. It's a nice little shield. Gift of Sun heals. And Skin of the Dragon is actually one I haven't used it yet, but let me show you how that one works. It's an invisible armor. Let's put it on James. And we'll have Owen jump into the fight as well. We'll try to triple team this enemy here. Oh, he's already fleeing. Not so fast, sir. I'd like to get this guy before he escapes if we can. He's almost out. Owen keeps managing to do damage to him, but it's not quite enough. I think he's about to escape. Oh no, he's still there. And the first enemy is down. Alright, let's have Owen rest for a minute, because he took a little bit of damage from that crossbow before. Or from the guy with the crossbow, I should say. That guy keeps trying to attack Owen. And the second enemy is down. Luckily that enemy was hit, and his stats are probably decreasing at this point from the damage he's taken. I know it's very minimal damage, but it always gives me a little bit of amusement whenever Owen gets a hit off and does this little 5 damage with his staff. And the third enemy is down. Alright, let's take a look. Let's see what we've got for winning. Restoratives are, of course, useful. We don't need a crossbow. We don't need any more bolts or any armor or anything. Spoiled rations, we certainly don't want that. And again, more armor and crossbows. Crossbow bolts, let's take a look at the third body. And more money. Good rations, we will certainly take those. Alright, so let's go ahead and grab some of these armor and weapons and such, and we'll practice our repair work. I'm going to have Gorath really focus on the repairing and the armor work here. So we'll go and we'll give the ones that are already repaired to Owen to hold. And I'll have James go ahead and repair his own armor while we're here. And we'll leave the crossbow behind. I'm not really interested in that. Excellent. Gorath's abilities have increased. His weapons craft is up to 75%. His armor craft to 58%. Let's grab another sword. Another suit of armor. Again, we'll have Owen hold that. Not enough room for that other suit of armor. And then the last body. It looks like Owen's armor's hammer ran out. So we'll go ahead and we'll be on the lookout to buy another one. There we go. Alright, so our first encounter since leaving the sewers was successful. Let's continue on our way. Let's check our map and make sure we're going in the right direction here. Yeah, so we're heading up this road. We're going to come to the town of Tanners. Then we're going to head east towards Sethanon. Looks like there's a little bit of a road heading off to the side here. Let's see where this goes. Ah, a box of some kind. A special lock. Well, we know what that means. It's time for another mortal puzzle lock. They feel no pain, no sorrow, nor greed. They have no anger, no hatred, nor need. Well, I think I actually know this one. Who feels no pain, sorrow, greed, anger? Well, everyone who's alive feels that, so in my opinion, the only people who feel none of that are people who are already dead. Some more armor, a crossbow, and a torch. Let's give the torch to Locklear. Let's go ahead and give one item to Owen to make room for that armor. We'll hand this armor over to Locklear, to James, so Gorath can take it and repair it. And a crossbow. Is there any room? Yes, Gorath could. Let's go ahead and take the crossbow. We could always sell it. Okay, so that was a nice little freebie there. Let's go ahead and head back to the main road. Continue on our journey. All right, let's be a little more careful this time, keeping our eyes out for enemies before we get to them. All right, looks like night is falling. So let's stop here and rest until morning. I didn't realize Owen was in such bad shape. Let's take a look at this little path here. Looks like this just ends at a dead end, and I don't see anything around. All right, back to the road. Okay, looks like a field of some sort, and something's up ahead there. Let's go look at the field. Just somebody's crops. Looks like we've reached a small town. Oh, there's Tanners. All right, let's take a look. James pushed open the wooden door. No one has lived here in some time, he said, looking around the empty room. James sniffed. Stepping just inside the tavern's doorway, he detected the faint but familiar scent of lye and the more pungent aromas that they were meant to erase. It would be a foolish tavern keeper who neglected to have a cleaning boy close at hand where men drank to excess. All right, let's take a moment to talk to some people in the tavern. Good day, said James. Without turning his attention toward them, the man responded. I normally enjoy talking to travelers, but today I'd rather just enjoy my ale. Very well then, James replied, heeding the man's wishes. Perhaps we will return at another time. How about this gentleman? A shifty-eyed man motioned them over. Boys, he said. Snake Eyes Spitzer's the name. You feeling lucky tonight? You're looking lucky. How about a game of dice? The gambler looked up. Making a fist, he shook it under James's nose, then smiled wickedly as he opened his palm to reveal a pair of dice. The game is dice, my friend, the gambler said, sitting back down. Winner wins half as much as he bets. How much gold will you wager? Well, let's wager 5. I'm sure this is a losing proposition. Let's just waste 5. James rolled poorly. Frowning at the unfortunate turn of events, he reluctantly handed over the sovereigns he had bet. The game is yours, sir, he said. James shook his head. You've had quite a good run of luck by the look of you, he said. We, alas, have not been so fortunate. Perhaps someone else will play with you. Well, if we learn anything about gambling and how to do it well, maybe we'll come back and talk to this guy. Alright, this is, we've already seen this conversation prompt where a guy just keeps talking to us. Unfortunately, we don't need to really talk to the barmaid. We've got plenty of food. More than enough. James tapped the woman's shoulder. Slowly, she turned to look at him, but rather than greeting him with a smile, in her gaze was a look he had thought reserved only for things that crawled on the ground or lapped up table leavings in the dooryard. What do you want? I was hoping perhaps we could talk, James ventured. Pass the time with a little conversation? Why? She said curtly. Opening his mouth to reply, but suddenly finding himself bereft of adequate speech, he made a small sound which he was certain sounded quite unmanly. Stabbing him with her exquisitely beautiful stare, she smiled. I thought as much. Goodbye, sir. I am sure you have a brilliant oratory career before you. Alright, let's rest for the night at the inn. Let's go ahead and... let's back out of here for just a second. A sleepy man glared at them. James couldn't help but feel the man was sizing them up in some way, but he seemed harmless enough so they thought nothing else of it. I wonder if that means anything. I'd like to spend the night so Owen can heal a little bit more quickly. There we go. And now that we're fully rested, let's try barding. Owen played. Losing himself in the flow of the music, he occasionally mangled a note or two, but on the whole did justice to This Kingdom Mine, the only tune he knew by heart. That was nice, the tavern keeper said with a smile, handing Owen 40 sovereigns and 5 royals. You'll have to play for us again sometime. God, this sounds awful, but apparently it was good enough. So we got 40 gold for that. And our barding ability increased. Let's take a look. Owen's up to 43%. It's not terrible. And Gorath actually gained a little bit. 7%. Alright, let's continue on here. Gorath tried the door. The building appears to have been abandoned. They locked up after themselves, he said. Think we should take a shot at opening it up? Well, let's see what we can do. This could be opened with a peasant's key, and we have 3 of those, so... there we go. A horn of Algon cocoon. Reinforced at the bell and mouthpiece with brass collars, Gorath struggled to imagine the beast from which the horn had been harvested. While possible it had come from a mature dragon, no man alive would dare to fight such a creature for so trivial a trophy. Puzzling, too, were the dog shapes carved on the horn. So this is a horn that I believe, if I remember correctly, allows us to summon aid in combat, and if we run into something particularly fearsome, we'll use that. Alright, let's go ahead and sell off some of the items we've acquired along the way. Now, he doesn't want to buy any armor or weapons. I don't really have anything else I really feel like selling, but it's good to know that I can purchase keys here if I need them. Also, I can purchase a hammer. Which of our party has the best haggling skill? Looks like James is slightly better than anybody else. Let's make a little bit of room in his inventory. And purchase an armorer's hammer. Let's try haggling. Nope, unfortunately, they weren't willing to haggle with us, so we'll just pay the 22. And we'll go ahead and give that to Gorath. Now we have an extra armorer's hammer. We'll give one back to James, so they both have one. Other than that, we could get a practice loot to allow us to practice and get better at barding. Let's go ahead and... I kind of want to do that, because that's a good way to make money along the road. We got 40 gold, so why not spend the 40? We'll have to make a little bit more room. We can have Gorath hold the sword. Let's try haggling again. Nope, once again, no such luck. Alright, we're gonna have to figure out a way to give that to Owen to practice, because he seems to be our best person in terms of barding. Okay, but it's good to know this shop is here if we need to get any keys or anything like that. Is there anything else in this town? The house was not in good repair. Dark green moss covered parts of the door and was visible in several large patches on the front slats. James's attention returned to the door as it slowly swung open. A foul, musty smell filled the air as an elderly woman appeared in the doorway. She was dressed in a tattered shawl and wore a different shoe on each gnarled foot. "You one of them shadow people? I hate them shadow people," she croaked. Her look of contempt suddenly turned to fear. "They're everywhere, you know. Could be slipping in my door right now." The thought obviously terrified her, and without warning, she disappeared into the house, slamming the door. Well, I wonder what that was about. Shadow people. I don't know what that was about, but hopefully we don't run into any people like that. Alright, well that's the town of Tanneurs. Let's continue on our way. If we keep going in this direction, if we head east, we should eventually make it to Sethanon. A little further north, we'll make it to Egley, and I kind of am tempted to do that, just so we can maybe sell off this extra stuff in our... James noticed a circle of holes. Instinct taking over where common sense had failed him, he shouted for stillness. "Don't move. In our daydreaming, we allowed ourselves to wander straight into a trap." Right, well, we've run into traps before, but this one's a little different than what we've seen. So obviously, we can't go between... Here's a little trick that I haven't shown you before. If you press the G key, you can see a grid. That gives us a little bit easier time knowing where we're going to be going to go around things. So if we go between these two poles, we're going to get hit by a spell. If we cross this white line. Now, Owen's spell, Skin of the Dragon, we could just cast that and just force our way through, but let's be intelligent about this. Owen, go ahead and rest. Same thing with Gorath. So this is the first time we run into a trap like this where we have these crystals. These crystals can be pushed. The clear one can be pushed to trigger what these things do, these cannons. The solid one can be used to block them. So let's go ahead, let's rest. And let's push this object. And see, it hit that and it turned off the white line between these. Alright, so we're gonna rest again. I'm going to have James move down behind this one. He's going to push this one forward. Actually, I'm going to move Owen out of the way so I can see what I'm doing a little bit better. There we go. So go ahead and push that forward. That didn't work. Ah, there was something in the way. That was why there was a white line. There was another one of those poles there. So here's the secret to this trap. Let's go ahead and get James back. There. Now I've pushed that into the path of this cannon, so nothing can hit me from there. Meanwhile, this cannon is being blocked by this pole here, so if I have James go ahead and step there, he's perfectly safe. There's a safe path forward to get us through the trap. Alright, and now we're through the trap. Somehow we ended up off the road. Let's get back onto it. And there's a body there. This person must have gotten caught in that trap previously. But we get a free key out of it and some money. Like I was saying, I'd like to head north to Egley so we can maybe sell off these weapons and armor. Hopefully there might be a shop there that we can use. But unfortunately, we've fallen victim to an attack again. Let's go ahead and turn off the grid for just a minute, because it's quite unpleasant to look at. 3 enemies. This one definitely has a crossbow, so let's go ahead and attack him directly. Owen will go ahead and help out with the Spare Thy Eyes on this guy. And that first enemy is down. I'm surprised that James is having so much trouble with this enemy in front of him. There we go, he's finally getting some hits off. We'll have Owen go ahead and join in. And our second enemy is down. Oh, and he's going after Owen. Fortunately, James can't reach him from where he is, so we'll bring James over this way. But Owen can defend himself. It's only a little bit. It's only 4 damage, but it's better than nothing. And the third enemy is down. So far, we've been doing pretty well against the enemies we've run into. Let's hope that our luck continues to hold out. Now, what is this? A Ceryx Vein. A yellow-colored ointment. The Ceryx Vein was stored in an odd-looking container. A simple cork cap suspended from the mouth of a glass tube. A large bulb made from stitched sheep's gut. Commonly, it was applied to armor to counteract the effects of enchanted blades. So this basically, if somebody has an enchanted blade, this helps us defend against it. That's certainly useful. Unfortunately, our inventories are completely full. All of us. Let's go ahead and do our repairing. Our normal repair work that we would normally do here. And as far as repairing Owen's armor, that'll have to wait a minute. Let's drop some items really quickly. I don't really need this crossbow. Let's see what else we can drop off. We'll give the horn to Gorath so that Owen can take the loot. Oh, sorry, the horn wasn't enough. Let's also then hand... we don't need this note anymore. We can certainly get rid of that. Give the loot to Owen. All this extra food is actually really causing us a problem. Alright, we should have enough room to at least pick up some small items. So let's take a look at those bodies again. Or sorry, we should have enough room here. I hate to leave behind rations, but we just don't need it. Let's take that Ceryx Vein. And take this healing, the herbal pack. Well, you know, we can give the herbal pack to Owen so that it combines, it stacks. And then some more of these Serani crossbow bolts. All right, you know what? We'll come back. Those bodies aren't going anywhere. Let's head to Egley. I noticed there's something behind this mountain. Looks like a farmhouse of some kind. The small house, it turns out, was home to a slight, balding historian named Kellen, who talked of the ancient Valhiru and the relatively recent cataclysm near Sethanon as he got them some fresh water for their packs. The folks I've interviewed, the ones living near Sethanon, say they thought the world was coming to an end, like the fabric of heaven was being turned back upon itself, revealing another universe in the skies. And they all talked about the explosion, and fearsome flying beasts circling in the sky. His voice trailed off. I think it may have something to do with the Dragon Lords who once roamed freely on this world. One day I'm going to figure it all out. James laughed. I'm sure you will, Kellen. Someday, and when you do, I'd like to read that book. In the meantime, thank you for the water. Goodbye. All right, well, here's someone who was a witness to the events that happened at the near the end of the book, A Darkness at Sethanon, in which the Valhiru almost returned to the world of Midcamia and almost destroyed it. All right, are we almost to our town that we're trying to get to? We should be almost there. Noticing that there's some sort of building over this way. Oh, here we go. This is it. This is Egley. All right, let's take a look around. No one lives here. Again, no one lives here. Again, no one lives there. There's some tombstones. We could try to dig them up, but remember what happened last time. We don't want to anger the unquiet dead. James motioned to the figure across the room. The man walked over to join them. He stood before them, eyebrows arched inquisitively. This is Devon. What can I do for you today? I do believe this is the loneliest tavern I've ever visited. Where is everyone? Everyone is elsewhere, with the exception of Rake, myself, and a handful of boarders that have wandered in from off the road. Boarders that have wandered in from off the road. There's not been another soul in town since the festival. Everyone? Why? What happened here? Come the 8th hour of last evening, a cloaked gentleman entered through that same door there and took a seat. He ordered a joint of beef, a loaf of bread, and a mug of ale. I remembered those things because I'd ordered the same. As soon as he'd finished the meal, he went to the tavern keeper and tossed down 50 golden sovereigns, turned around, and was gone by the door. Before the first of those coins stopped their spinning on a counter, the rest of the people in the tavern rushed out after him. The keeper didn't even latch the door. Some sort of deal? Nope. Some sort of damn local ritual. It seems I arrived in the middle of a ceremony that was called the Festival of the Stranger. Traditionally, the elders of the town would gather in the tavern and draw lots, and the one with the longest lot was dubbed the Stranger. On the first night of the festival, the Stranger comes around and offers the members of the town fake sovereigns. They call them Nimtos, and then the citizens of the town leave to sleep in the fields. Of course, I wasn't aware of what was going on. And they're supposed to stay in the fields? No. The next morning, the elected stranger is to circle the village 3 times while swinging a strand of hemp over his head. When he's done, he cuts the length of rope and sets it on the road to let people know they can come back. They then know that Killian is looking with good fortune on their township and she won't strike their fields dead. If the strand is not placed, however, it means that she is displeased, and any citizen that attempts to return to town will be struck dead. Was the stranger killed by Killian? No, not Killian, but by a man named the Collector to whom he owed money, who didn't know about the town's tradition. It didn't matter to the citizens of Egley, though. They still chose to see it as a sign from Killian, and they haven't returned since. Think the place is cursed and won't return until the curse is lifted. They've relocated in Tanner's, Hawk's Hollow, and a few in Malik's Cross. They all believe they've done the right thing and have given me permission to do whatever I wanted here. Out of respect for them, I've decided to keep the old town name of Egley. I don't know, it seems people would have to be pretty thick to believe all of that. Would they? Would you have the nerve to spit on a shrine of Ishap? No, but I guess I can see your point. Everyone has their beliefs. Many people in these villages at one time were farmers, and it's difficult for them to simply turn their backs on the goddess of nature. They require her blessing before they can go on to new lives. You should remember that before you judge something to be ignorant. So, as my new job as bartender of this tavern, I suppose it's my duty to see if you need anything. Can I set you up? Well, let's ask him about the festival. Which god did you say this festival of the stranger was in celebration of? The fertility goddess, bringer of harvest, the earth, mother, Sylvan, pick a name. All mean the same thing. She's the wench to whom Ma and Pa Ugly pray to have little Runt Ugly and enough wheat to eat through the winter. Can't say I have much use for her. Is there a temple of hers nearby, or... Straight west of Egley, then north of the crossroads. Big white building with a column. Smells like a whore's bedchamber. Hard to miss. Maybe we'll go visit that temple. One of the brothers from the Abbey of Sarth has seen several mercenaries on the move through the Principality, and he said they look Quegian. With a good Quegian name like Devonius, I was thinking you might know something about them. I haven't had anything to do with the Dauphiness of Queg or her bastard father-in-law for over 3 years now. I burned my writs of passage the day Spitzer and I boarded the Dauphiness's war galley, the Storm's Master, and sunk King Lebus's flagship with all hands on board. Since that day, I've only worked for me. Me. Then you have no idea why there be so many mercenaries wandering free in the kingdom. You don't get more than 3 Quagan mercenaries together in one spot unless you're paying them to be together. Small little island like that, most of them have killed a member of another mercenary's family. Pay them well, they'll put their personal vendettas aside long enough to do what's asked of them before they start on one another. Whoever's funding them must have an incredible fortune in rubies somewhere. Rubies? Isle sovereigns won't buy you a thingy Quag, except a month underground in King Lebus's pain pens. Rubies, that's all they'll take. Interesting. We've dealt with rubies before, haven't we? We've seen rubies. Makala had some rubies. With the whole town to yourself, I'm surprised you haven't opened up many of the other shops or houses. I'm leaving them be till I know what's eventually going to happen here. Never know when some folk is going to show up and want his property back. I don't want to be the idiot holding the bag. If most of the folks were smart, they'd probably lock their houses, and I'm not much of a lockpick. Know anyone who is? Strange character named a Book. I ran across him when I was working for the Dauphiness Cassandra of Queg. We discovered him once we boarded a Keshian vessel. After he helped open a few choice chests of mercantile, we chained him up in the belly of the ship so we could make a present of him to Cassandra. But when we docked in Palank, all we found in the hold of the ship was a note saying he could be found in Silden if ever we needed the services. I've never hired anyone else for a lock-picking job since. So Silden, someone who knows how to pick locks. Maybe he can help us increase our lock-picking skills. You mentioned someone named Spitzer who boarded the Storm's Master with you. Was he a friend of yours? Is he still around? You know, to be passing through, you ask a lot of questions. Just curious, I was wondering if maybe he'd know anything about the Quegians. He's got more reason to be afraid of King Lebus than I do. He'd avoid Quegians like the plague. Now, if you want to play dice with him, I'm sure he'll be plenty happy to talk to you. He was in Tanner's, last I heard. Ah, he's the guy who we play dice with. Spitzer. Thank you for your hospitality, Devon. It was a pleasant respite from traveling the roads. Remember that next time you talk to someone about Egley. Time to start some new rumors. That we will. Goodbye, Devon. Alright, so that's Devon. I wonder if we go over here, we could stay the night. But that's really all we can do here. So it seems like the town is abandoned. I wonder if that means that the shop is abandoned as well. That would be really unfortunate. Anybody in this house? Nope. The building appears to have been abandoned. They locked up after themselves. Think we should take a shot at opening it up? Well, let's take a look. This one requires a special key, it looks like. Let's try picking it. Looks like it's beyond our ability to pick. Alright. And I'm guessing it's going to be the same thing with either of these houses. Well, these people left some money behind. I guess we'll steal from them. Kingdom business, you know. Alright, so if we were to head west of Egley, so we could follow this road outwards, and then north at some crossroads, we should be able to find our way to the temple. Looks like night's falling. Let's go ahead and rest for the night. Use up some of those rations that we've got. Keeping our eyes out for any enemies on the road, of course. And then northward, there should be a temple somewhere nearby. Gorath stopped and stared off in the distance. After several seconds of contemplation, he turned and began to speak. Look at that tree over there. The lower limbs have all been hacked off. That either means we're near someone's property line, or someone was ensuring they had an unobstructed view of the area. If we continue in this direction, we should proceed with great caution. So that means there's an ambush up here. And our stealth ability should have increased then. Yeah, scouting has gone up to 46% for Gorath. I still don't know how to work that to our advantage other than maybe just try to go around the attack, but let's go through it. Let's get into this fight and see how we do. His Owen scouting ability increased this time. I wonder if we can keep doing that. Alright, now we get into the fight. Looks like we have a spellcaster. That could be trouble. First thing I'm going to do is rest and have Owen go first. We'll use Flamecast. And unfortunately, they're out of the line of sight. That's a shame. Alright, instead of that, let's do something else. Let's protect Gorath, who just got a spellcast on him. We'll go ahead and give him Invisible Armor, Skin of the Dragon. Fantastic. That gives us a chance to go ahead and close with these enemies. Now I'm going to move Owen out here so he can go ahead and get a much better bead on that spellcaster back there. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and engage that spellcaster directly to keep him from casting. Alright, now Owen has a chance to do a little bit more good. Let's also cast Skin of the Dragon on James. Alright, James's turn. Let's go ahead and keep attacking the spellcaster. Owen's just going to rest for a minute. Looks like Gorath's been paralyzed. The spellcaster has been defeated, though, so that's good. Alright, now James is going to attack this guy. And Owen's going to assist him with his 4 damage. Gorath is still paralyzed. Looks like he hasn't had a chance to attack at all. Luckily, Owen's spell is protecting him. He hasn't actually taken any damage from these people attacking him. That enemy's fleeing. Fantastic. James, assist your friend. I'm going to move Owen a little bit further out of the way so that if that spell wears off, I can go ahead and... Now Gorath is taking damage, so... I'm going to go ahead and assist Gorath one more time by casting Skin of the Dragon again. And then Owen will rest to regain some of the stamina he spent on that. As you can see, that enemy spellcaster really did a number on us. One of our main damage guy, our tank, can't do anything. But luckily Owen was here to protect him. If we hadn't had Owen here to cast that protective spell, we would have been in real trouble. And that second enemy is down. Alright. Let's rest one more time. Okay, Gorath is taking damage now, so I need to go ahead and assist him again. Once again, we'll give him Skin of the Dragon. This is a very useful spell. Unfortunately, I don't know of any way to undo the paralysis that he's suffering from, but that enemy's fleeing. I could cast Invitation to hold him, but it's not really worth it. And he has fled. We were successful. We won the battle. That could have turned very bad very quickly, but we were able to manage with Owen's help. One of the good things about spellcasters, they seem to carry a lot of money. So let's grab that. We have more restoratives. That's certainly useful. Oh, that's all we can carry, it looks like. We'll give that last restorative to James. There's one inventory spot left over for Gorath. And then this enemy, again, we really don't need... Those are poisoned ration anyway, so never mind. Grab those lockpicks, though, for sure. Alright, let's continue to this little farm here, it looks like. No one seems to be home, but what about this barn? James pushed open the door of the wooden barn. Inside he found stalls containing a standard mixture of animals. The floor of the barn was covered with a pungent mixture of hay, dust, and animal dung that made his eyes water. He was glad when they left a few minutes later. Alright, so just a farm along the side of the road here. This path might lead us to that temple we were told of. Let's check our map again, just to be on the safe side. No, see, I don't see any buildings here, so let's get back to the road. Let's go ahead and rest for the night, and this time we're going to probably camp until we're healed. We'll rest for an extra night. We certainly have the food. So we should be coming to that temple soon. There's the road that heads north, and I'm pretty sure that's going to lead to that temple. But first, we've got some Quagian mercenaries to deal with. Let's try to get the jump on them. Nope, the enemy was not surprised. 3 mercenaries. But we're ready for these guys. Oh, and you go over here. And Gorath will go ahead and engage with this one, since he seems so eager to get into it. Locklear will harry the one who's trying to go after Owen. How dare you, sir? Since this one seems most set on hurting Owen, let's have both Gorath and Locklear go after him. Yeah, because Owen's taking some damage. That's unfortunate. I don't want Owen to end up in a near-death condition. That's the last thing we want to happen. Ooh. Okay, that one's fleeing, and Owen should be alright. So, if I go up to this guy, he's dead. I'm going to move Locklear in between. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Okay, good. I made a mistake with what I was trying to do there. Let's move Owen away if we can. Okay, good. That's what I was hoping would happen. Owen has a moment of freedom where he can rest a little bit and gain some health back. Good. That enemy's down and Owen can continue to rest and take crossbow damage. I'm just going to have them all rest right now. Ugh. Jerk. How dare you attack my friend. At least we didn't end up in the near-death status, that we can very easily heal from that. I'm going to just have to, at this point, ignore these armor and weapons. And only take items like gold for now, until we can offload some of this stuff. Spoiled rations. North to Dimwood. Well, this should, according to what we were told, lead to a temple before too long. Let's check our map again. I do see a path there. I don't expect the temple to be that far off of the road. Ah, there's a huge group of enemies up there that I don't think we're really in any shape to fight right now because Owen is very low on hit points. All right, let's head backwards and head back to the main road. We've kind of lost sight of where we were trying to go. We were trying to head over to this way, and we've kind of gone off on a little bit of a wild goose chase here, looking for that temple, which I would still like to find if we can. I believe it must be up this road up here. Let's go ahead and rest, though, and get everybody back to full health. Let's go ahead and use a herbal pack if we can, at least on Owen, because he's not doing very well. There we are, and everybody's in good shape. So yeah, so what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to go up and fight those guys, I believe, if we're going to make it to that temple. I would like to make a stop at that temple before we continue on our way eastward, because we really should deal with the fact that Egley's abandoned, and if we can get everybody back to town, well, then we might be able to sell off everything that we have in our inventory. Then we can continue on our way unencumbered to Sethanon, Lytton, Sildon, Sloop, and then eventually to Romney. And that's what we'll be doing next time. In our next episode, we're looking for the temple and trying to get everybody back to this abandoned town. Hopefully. I'll see you then.